Welcome to the Winter Sports season finale of This Week in Colerain Cardinals Athletics here on We Are Colerain.com and ESP Media powered by Sidearm Sports. My name is Jason Griefer. Once again, we're joined by Colerain Athletic Director Craig Ulan and Assistant AD Mike Wiseman. Gentlemen, good to have you back here with us. I know Mother Nature's not been a friend to anybody the last couple of weeks, so we appreciate you taking some time here to talk about your winter sports athletes as we wrap up the winter sports season here on the podcast. Let's jump right into it, and let's start off in the bowling lanes. And postseason's arrived now, and both bowling teams in total, both the boys and the girls, were able to advance out of the sectionals and move into district play coming up this week. Craig, I'll start with you. How do the coaches and the bowlers feel how their performances were in the sectionals? And how are they feeling about their chances in the districts to maybe move on beyond?
Yeah, I think they're very pleased, to have both the boys and the girls qualify in the same year. I think it's the first time it's been done in several years. So they're excited. We got two first-year coaches with Coach Erie and Coach Cold Iron, and I think they're very pleased with the progress they had and where they are now. And the girls team, unfortunately was shut down for two weeks right at the end of the regular season. So for them to kind of to pull everybody back together and to be where they're at with a chance to qualify for state this week at districts is pretty big.
Mike, what was it like for you to watch these two teams perform, given the fact that you had two brand new coaches leading the way and they want to, everybody wants to make their imprint on a program. You know that as well as anybody. How did you feel that the two new coaches have done in their first year?
I'll be honest, I went to my first bowling match this year. I hadn't been to one. So it was quite entertaining. It was quite fast paced. I was in and out in an hour. But the biggest thing for me is you could see the consistency, the camaraderie with the kids, and really playing for each other. Even though it is a very much individualized sport, there's a lot of camaraderie and teamwork that goes into, picking somebody up if they're having a bad frame. But what I saw there, in that senior night match, was tremendous to see with those kids working together and, pulling off a big win against Middletown on their senior night and then now, into districts and, with the hopes of going on. So it was great to see from those two coaches.
And we'll be keeping a track on them when we get into the spring sports season. Hopefully we've got a state champ or two in the mix there we can talk about on the spring sports podcast. Let's switch gears and move into basketball. And let's start with the boys. After a little bit of time off to get prepared for things, they didn't play in the first round. So you go into the second round now. And they'll be in action Wednesday night. And unfortunately, the bracket didn't do you a lot of favors. You're going to get St. X to open sectional play. They're ranked number 2 in the state. Just beat Moeller not too long ago there. They're right up there, state power. Craig, this has been a really tough season for the boys, to say the least, and the standings kind of bear that out. It's also been a very challenging season overall, given everything that's gone on in the world. Obviously, when the season comes to an end, whenever it comes to an end, hopefully they can pull the upset over St. X and move on beyond that. But whenever it comes to an end, what all will go into your evaluation of the program in order to try and get the basketball team moving toward the top end of the GMC?
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into the evaluation of the program. I think, last year was a little bit of a difficult year. And the year before that, we had graduated probably 7 or 8 seniors, and we knew that we were going to have a little bit of a rebuilding year, maybe a rebuilding 2 years. So, we look for progress, and I think they've made progress this year. I really do. When you look at the scores and the teams they've played, and we got some bright spots on our team, and our team is very young. And I think as the season's gone on, a lot of our younger players have kind of stepped up. They got more playing time, got more experience, and to be honest, that's what you need to build off of for next year.
Mike, you've been a coach before in the past, obviously on the soccer pitch. I'm sure you've had teams where it is very young and very inexperienced, and all of a sudden you get thrown into a gauntlet of a league. And in boys basketball this year, the GMC was just extremely top heavy. So many talented teams up there. How do you think this young team handled all of that? And given that you night in and night out, you're playing a team in your own league that legitimately had a chance to win a district title and go on to a regional.
I think some of the score lines you can tell by keeping some teams really close at the beginning, and sometimes talent just takes over, and really good teams are gonna kind of press you and do what they need to do to get the victory. But you could see in the beginning parts of games they really stuck with them. Some of the score lines, in the end maybe didn't turn out as we liked, but you could see that progression going on, and you could see the young kids starting to understand. And when I took over the soccer program, we had a couple of years like that where I was in favor of playing the young kids, because the young kids were, then had 2-3 more years, and eventually got to the point, this year where you get to 10 wins in a soccer season is pretty legit. So, I think that's something looking forward. We had a couple freshmen up playing varsity as sophomores. So it only bodes well for the future. And, going into the tournament, it's always sometimes nice to play a team that you might be unfamiliar with, or they're unfamiliar with you. And, crazy things happen in the tournament. So hopefully for them, they can kind of put something together.
So with this tournament play, you've only got to be great one night, and that's all it takes. And you could pull off a big upset here and take out the number 2 team in the state in St. X. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Let's move over to the girls' side, and they've got some big things going. They're gonna be in action tonight, actually, against Lakota East in a sectional final. Chance to get to a district final. Also a chance to pick up win number 15 on the season, which multiple levels, that's impressive. Number one, I don't know that anybody thought we would play 15 games this season, but get to 15 wins. That's the most for this program dating back to 2014. Craig, let me start with you. What's been the key behind this resurgent year to where you're right back up there in competition with some of the top teams in the league?
Well, they've had really good, consistent play over the last 2 years, and each year they've built off of the previous year and the success they had in the previous years. And I think 3 years ago they didn't have any wins, and then they had 6 wins and 9 wins, and then obviously this year we're on pace to we might pick up our 15th win tonight, which is a pretty big deal. You had mentioned that we haven't won that many games since 2014, and if we were to win tonight and play in the district final Saturday night, it'd be the first time since 2005 that we would be in a district championship. And that says a lot about the team and who they are, and a great job by our coaching staff.
You look at the way this bracket sets up, and obviously we have to take care of business against Lakota East tonight to try to get to the district final, but everybody sees who's likely going to be waiting for you on the other side, and that's Mount Notre Dame. They're ranked number 1 in the state. They're ranked in the top 10 in the country. The accolades go on and on. They've won like 70 games in a row there. Mike, I'll turn this back to you again. If we're able to get to the district final and see a team like Mount Notre Dame likely waiting for them, how do you evaluate your team's chances, and how do you expect them to go out and try to attack a team like that, assuming they get there?
Well, you have to be, obviously have to be very good defensively, but at the same time, you have to do what you do well. Look back at the little Miami game. The McNally twins, maybe I think then they had 10 points each, and Kate White goes off for 20 or 22. So it's going to take an effort by all 5, 6, 7 girls that get to play in order to take somebody like that down. But it's a possibility. Anything can happen. That's why you play the game. That's why we do this. So, I don't ever count our girls out on anything. Obviously we can't look past East tonight. They're a very good team.
Yeah.
We lost them in the regular season. So it's a chance a little bit for vengeance there. But then looking forward, you've got to relish in that opportunity, especially where you've come from and now where you've gotten to. I'm super proud of them. I was there on Tuesday, and it was a lot of fun to watch Thursday whenever that game was. So.
Nevertheless, regardless of what happens, either against Lakota East in the sectional final, or if you get to the district final, and likely would see Mount Notre Dame, still a really successful year. Nevertheless, potentially a 15-win season, and again in a season we didn't know there would be even 15 games, let alone the opportunity to get 15 wins. So a really fine season all around for the girls basketball program. Speaking of fine seasons, let's talk about AQT, academic quiz team, sitting at 12-2 right now. You still have a shot at the league title. You've got 2 weeks left here. You got to take care of Fairfield and Lakota West in order to put yourself in position. And then you got to get some help from Mason or Sycamore. Good thing is those two play each other this week. So you've got a chance to potentially get right up there into second place. And over the next 2 weeks, who knows what can happen from there. But either way, they're set for a second straight top 3 finish in the GMC, which is a really, really strong bump up from where things are before that. Solid seasons, but not top 3. Craig, through the last 2 years, from your perspective, what's been the biggest key to this all rise to where you're contending for the league championship and you're a legitimate contender for the league championship?
Well, I think we got some kids on the team that are very, very serious about the success of the program, and they've been very dedicated to the program the last couple of years. So we got a strong senior class. We got some underclassmen that really care about the program, care about the success of the program, and to be honest, they recognize that it's a GMC sport. It counts for GMC all sports standings, so it's a big deal to these. I think they've done a really good job, and I'm excited to see how the season finishes for them.
And they got a real chance to make some noise there for sure. As I said, over the last couple of weeks, get some help from Mason and Sycamore. You're right there, and of course, we still have the postseason to come as well, so you can still go ahead and win the GMC tournament there as well. Mike, let me switch gears with you, and let's jump into the pool. And we see we've got a potential state champion on our hands here. We've got some work left to do, but Lauren Clippard is going to the state meet, qualifying in both the 200 free and the 100 back. So she's representing Colerain at the state meet now. I'm wondering, from what you've been able to see or maybe and talk with the coaching staff here, how does the dynamic change now within the program in trying to help Lauren get her times down to where she can potentially win a state title when it's more of a focus on her now that the team season has come to its conclusion?
Yeah, she had a little setback at the beginning of the year and wasn't able to train quite like she normally does, and maybe her times maybe aren't where they were in previous years. So working together with her teammates to maybe help her along, but even individually being able to train how she'd normally be able to train to kind of get those times down where they need to be. Our kids are super supportive kids. They'll be there for her. Obviously we can't travel up and watch the state meets, which kind of stinks for her and for all the kids, to be honest. So it maybe creating some type of atmosphere in practice where she can kind of build off of that and something she can maybe internalize and carry on into the meet.
Craig, how is she feeling about her chances to go up there and compete with some of the best in the state?
Well, I think a lot of her confidence in the way she feels about it is she's been there. She did it last year as a freshman, and to qualify your very first year of high school varsity swimming, obviously it's a very, very an experience really matters. And so I think she's walking into this state finals as she's been there, done that. She knows what to expect. She knows what she can visualize what the inside of the pool looks like, and because if you've never been there before, obviously there's going to be nerves and there's going to be inexperience and it's all going to be new. But for her, she's been there, so I think she's determined to do better what she did last year, and we're excited for her.
And hopefully when we reconvene for the spring sports season, we'll be talking about a state champion there, at least in one event, if not two. Again, she's there in the 200 free and the 100 back. So we'll be keeping tabs on that through the upcoming weeks. Let's move on. Mike, let me switch gears back to you with your wrestling program. We finally now have a postseason in front of us now. The sectionals are coming up this weekend. It's been a couple of weeks, obviously, since we've been able to talk here. As we talked about, Mother Nature has not done us any favors really around greater Cincinnati. Since we last talked, how has the team looked? How have they been in training? And how are they feeling about their chances here in the sectional?
Yeah, I was just talking to Coach Huber the other day. They have kind of had a 2-week layoff, which made sense. You kind of scheduled that way in order to prevent any type of anybody getting sick or being knocked out for those 2 weeks, or the programs getting knocked out. So it's been more about training with themselves, and they've got really, really good wrestlers, really good competition in their rooms. So I think they're prepared. I think they're ready to go. They've got some returning guys who've been there before and can hopefully lead some of our young guys. And that's the biggest thing, is that we, like Craig's always said, we fill all the weight classes. So that really helps us as a team going forward and in a team competition to hopefully advance on.
Craig, how important are those upperclassmen and those guys who have been there before in terms of their leadership now with the youngsters that are going to go here and trying to help them navigate through what they need to do to try to advance on beyond the sectional?
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple really, really strong um, veteran seniors. Our junior class is very heavy, and a lot of our juniors have wrestled since their freshman years. And we got a couple underclassmen that have really chipped in this year and helped the team. With some of the big wins that we've had in the GMC, and I think a lot of the kids qualified for district last year, and like talking about swimming, they've been there, so they know what it is to compete in the sectional tournament, to compete in the district tournament. And we got big hopes to qualify several kids to the state finals this year. And on top of that, they finished in second place in the GMC for the first time in school history. Since 1997, we've been in the GMC. We've never finished as high as second place. And so that's kudos to the kids and the program and the coaching staff.
How big of a shot in the arm is that for the program, knowing that they've made school history here and their highest finish ever in the GMC? How big is that as far as momentum going into the postseason? That hey, we can compete. We're as good as anybody in this area.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely huge because, like I said, I think we got several kids that can do very successful in the state tournament. They wrapped up the regular season with a win against Fairfield and a win against Hamilton, and I don't think, according to Coach Huber, I don't think they've ever knocked off Fairfield during the regular season. So Fairfield's always been a powerhouse in GMC wrestling, and when we beat them at the end of the regular season, it was a very big deal. Like you said, it's a shot in the arm, and I think the kids are pretty confident going into this weekend.
And as they should be. Again, as you said, best finish ever in the GMC. That's nothing to shake a stick at, given how talented the GMC seemingly is every year. It seems like the GMC is always putting one or more wrestlers up there for state titles for sure. So really good job by them, and still more work to be done there. Lastly, here as we're winding down today's episode and also putting a kind of a bow on the winter sports season, I'm wondering, now that we're 2/3 of the way through this academic year, we've completed the fall sports season. We're winding down the winter sports season. We're starting to look ahead to the spring now. Spring practices are already underway in some cases and what have you. I'm going to throw this out to both of you. And Mike, I'll start with you first. Just maybe one or two things you're most looking forward to about the upcoming spring season.
Well, I'm excited. The snow's melting off the turf, so our kids can get outside as opposed to being packed in the gym. I'm just super excited for the kids to get to be able to have a senior year, a junior year, and for the coaching staff, because as most people know or should know, most of the coaching's not done during the season. Most of it's done out of the season. So it's all the preparation, especially last year, you do all the off-season lifting and the throwing, and then the season's just the fun part. Season's where you just go out and execute and do what you're supposed to do. With all the hard work's done before that. So for them to get kind of robbed of that last year, I'm really excited for them to be able to actually be able to play the games, to have the fun after all the hard work's done, and obviously hope for a complete season and some success. So,
Greg, what sticks out to you about the spring?
I echo a lot of what Mike said. I think yesterday was the first day for baseball, softball, and track, and I mean it's a pretty big day for all those programs to know, or for what they went through last year. And I think I saw a statistic yesterday. It's something like it's been 650 days since the last baseball game was played. The state championships in baseball was June of 2019. So that's a long time ago since the last game that we've had. So it's a big deal for these kids. We still feel for the seniors last year missing their senior season. So the junior or the senior class now, I mean, this is it. They know that they're gonna get a season. They're gonna have to be safe and follow protocols, but they're gonna get a season. And this is their last chance. This is their opportunity to kind of leave a legacy here at Corning High School. So excited for them.
And we'll certainly be looking forward to following along on wearecolerain.com as it goes along. And as I said, when we reconvene for the spring sports, hopefully there's some winter sports state champions to talk about as well. Craig, Mike, certainly appreciate the time once again. Best of luck to your winter sports programs and finishing out their seasons, and look forward to the spring.
Thanks. Thank you.
That is Colerain Athletic Director Craig Ulen, Assistant AD Mike Wiseman joining us for the winter sports season finale of this week in Colerain Cardinals athletics here on the all-new wearecolerain.com and ESP Media powered by Sidearm Sports.